It is that time of year again. Christmas in July is a real thing in Malifaux. In the narrative, in the lore, no. But Gen Con is coming up, and you know what that means. New stuff. Let's get hyped! Welcome to Corner Case. You're in the hobby corner. I'm your host, your assistant to the mayor of Malifaux Town, and your best friend, Deck. Weird has a few annual traditions. There's Gaining Grounds updates, Miss Model, Nightmare Box, now Rotten Harvest. We're going to go over all of those things in this video. First, it's easy for this to fly under the radar, but it is Gaining Grounds 3. It's been out for over a week now. The best coverage is currently from the Danger Planet. Please head on over to the Danger Planet. Check out their spicy takes after this. For those of y'all newer to Malifaux, Gaining Grounds is the name of the schemes and strategies, aka the objectives, the win conditions within the game. They are refreshed annually. This is Gaining Grounds 3 within Malifaux 3rd edition, so the third update. Basically, this update to the objectives helps maintain game balance, maintains interest in the game, controls the meta. In other words, Malifaux doesn't only control points or nerf models to maintain a good game, it also uses this rotating objective pool to do so. For more information, you can check out the Weird official website. There's an article on the subject going over all the updates. Otherwise, you can head on over to your M3E app and check it out there. Otherwise, currently right now, like I said, the Danger Planet, best coverage so far of the updates. Gaining Grounds 3. Next is the Miss model. Every year, Weird releases an alternate Miss model at Gen Con. They show up here and there afterwards, like on the website or like in bundles, but the definite way to get them is at Gen Con. All of these models are women. They all have names that start with the prefix Miss, like a play on words. For those who are a little bit newer, my favorite is Mysterious, one of the older ones, an alternate guild marshal. Misfire is really cool, alternate Willy on the penny farthing, I think they're called. There's Miss Anthrope, the alternate wastrel. So a lot of cool stuff. Interestingly, Misery is also a Miss model, but that's just like a violent teddy bear. So I don't know about that one. Welcome to Malifaux. This year's Miss model is Miss Teek. Take a look. So cool. Until this year of our Lord, 2022, with the release of Dorian Crow, before this, Carlos was the only non-female performer keyword model. And so making a female model that counts as Carlos, who's previously the only non-female, it's like an onion. It's got layers. Anyway, you can bet that I will be picking this one up. So far, I have all of the Miss models for my factions. That's Arcanists, Guild, and Neverborn, without revealing too much about my pile of shame. Next topic. Corner Case Day Ones know that we love Nightmare Boxes. Nightmare Boxes are super cool, and this year's is a good one. For those of y'all newer, Nightmare Boxes are simply alternate sculpts. You can think of them like flavor bent official proxies. So they count as the models that they say they do. You don't need anything else to play. You don't even need to buy like the original box if you just like that one box and you want to play with it. Like that mostly has everything you need. So Nightmare Boxes, really cool. Usually they are pretty far removed from Malifaux's core flavor, and that's part of what makes them exciting and collectible. First is Steam Powered Scoundrels podcast was so adamant that this year's Nightmare Box would be Guild, and so crazy they were right. I'm pretty sure these guys don't got the plug, so just good ear to the ground, the Malifaux ground. So this is the alternate Charles Hoffman crew, the Lost Kingdom Nightmare Box. If I'm not wrong, please correct me in the comments, but I'm pretty sure this is the biggest Nightmare Box release we have seen so far. It is 3 boxes. Lots to go over. Let's dig in. So it's this really cool dark fantasy vibe. It kind of reminds me of Dark Souls. I can't explain like what those elements are, but you know what I mean if you know what I mean. It's kind of cool to see because Malifaux, from what I've seen so far, hasn't really approached like a traditional fantasy vibe, like either high or low so far. So seeing how their designers and creative team are like kind of playing with the designs to stretch what we think of as Malifaux is like super sick. One thing I'm noticing, and I don't know if this has to do with like the box art, you know, like, but I feel like the illustrator is using like a different palette than normal. I feel like when you look at like normal Malifaux artwork, there's kind of like a green undertone to it. Like I have a theory or like a hypothesis that the illustrator like underpaints green for everything, or maybe it's done in post. I don't know. But if you look at the Porphyrion, and you compare it to like Malifaux artworks of other shirtless bros like Joss or like Ryle or the Witchling Thralls, like you can kind of compare the skin tone and like those dudes all have like a greenness underneath. And as someone with green skin, I am super sensitive to that. But this Porphyrion has like definitely not a green underpainting, and it kind of makes the character designs across the board look like a lot brighter and a lot less gritty. So I don't know, maybe I'm seeing things. It's also kind of cool to see like the metallic colors, like metal materials integrated into the Nightmare box design. So I don't know if I'm seeing things here, but you know, Hoffman crew I think is normally like from a hobby perspective like pretty good on beginners, because like a lot of them are just metal constructs. So you just slap some like metallic paint, you go like really gritty like washes, streaking grime, you know, like easy stuff, and like you get a pretty cool looking crew with like pretty low effort level. And like while this is definitely like a more artistic kind of designy like embellished crew design, this Lost Kingdom box set, it's also like got a lot of metallic elements incorporated. So I think that's like a benefit in two ways. Like one is like if you wanted to buy more Hoffman stuff, like it kind of helps it mesh together if you do the same like approach to the metals. But also like if you are newer in your hobby journey, or you're just not comfortable painting that hard but you want that like that crew, that like special crew experience, I feel like the metallics kind of like make it more accessible. So again, I'm not sure if I'm making that up, but I don't know. I think I'm not making it up. Another thing that's like crazy and unprecedented is this is the first Nightmare release that has an alternate sculpt for both the title and non-title version of Charles Hoffman. In other words, there are designs for both Charles Hoffman Original and Charles Hoffman Inventor. To me, like this means that like master titles are here to stay. And I say that because like at the end of Malifaux second edition, they like released master titles for the first time, but I feel like those weren't even around for like a full year or like year and a half before like they switched over to 3E, and then they didn't come back right away. And back then they didn't come with like alternate sculpts. So it definitely didn't feel like as legitimate of a thing. But now that it's like they all have their new sculpts and they're now starting to have like Nightmare alternate sculpts, so it feels a lot like the strategy is like all coming together. It's pretty cool. That also kind of makes me stoked for like the future of Nightmare boxes, because like Raspy technically doesn't have a Nightmare box yet. So when she inevitably does, and she will, it means I'm probably getting both. Last thing about the Nightmare box, it's kind of interesting to speculate like what this Lost Kingdom story actually is. So the Nightmare boxes usually have like some tie to the rest of the Malifaux universe in one way or another. So either they have a tie to like the other side. So like last year's Deepest Depths were like kind of tied to the Gibbering Hordes, or sometimes, or very often rather, they have a tie to like Through the Breach RPG game. So for example, like Mayfang 1988 Malifaux Cyberpunk crew, like that wasn't just like hanging by itself, like it got like a module in Through the Breach. So it's kind of interesting, you know, like the Lost Kingdom sounds kind of like a narrative thread almost, you know. So is that going to be, you know, like a Through the Breach kind of like fantasy module? Is it going to be like a the other side alternate something? I don't know. I don't have any ideas that I think are good, but if you guys do, let me know in the comments. So last but not least, we have the 2022 Rotten Harvest crew available in September. Rotten Harvest has recently become an annual tradition for Weird. Basically, it's like Nightmare Box in that it is an alternate crew. However, it is Halloween themed, it's always spooky, and the models come pre-assembled, so really user-friendly. For example, I'm a proud owner of the Pandora Rotten Harvest crew. Very, very cool crew to own. This year's is Lady Justice, Dia de los Muertos, and oh my goodness, so cool, so much graphic design happening. And once again, it's like an onion. It's got layers. So first, Lady Justice is like the anti-resurrectionist guild master, and to fight the undead, she uses like asterisk undead, which are the guild marshals. And then this whole alternate crew is undead, so that's like a layer. And then, like, if you look at the actual sculpts of the guild marshals themselves and like the lone marshal, the poses are actually super, super similar to like the original sculpts. So I feel like that's kind of like a jab. That's like a layer. Then, like, Lady Justice was like one of the first, if not the first, like alternate sculpted crews, and that was Dead Justice. So this is like Dead Justice. So that's like a layer. Then there's like this throwback to like a conversion that I saw like in 2016. I'll link to the dude's Instagram. It's like at HD, but this guy converted Perdita crew to like Dia de los Muertos. So that's kind of like the fandom, I think, like sneaking in, but that's like, to me, that's a layer. So like it goes all the way to the top. Anyway, I think it's worth noting that Perdita conversion, because like I can see how people might see this Dia de los Muertos box and think like, why wasn't it on like family keyword? I think that's an interesting discussion, but I really like the execution on Lady Justice, Dia de los Muertos. Very, very conceptual, many layers to this onion or cake. I don't know about you, but I'm definitely going in on this year's Rotten Harvest, and I'm super excited to see what version of Halloween or Day of the Dead that Malifaux is going to Nightmare, or Rotten Harvest rather, next year. Off the top of my head, I can think of Haitian Fête Gede. Maybe that will play in. I don't know. Thank you for watching this way too long stoked video about Malifaux's upcoming releases. 'Tis the season, Christmas in July, baby. Please like and subscribe, join the Discord, join the Patreon if you would like to, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.
Venerate the Emperor by subscribing now. Only in death does subscribing end.